Welcome back. We're going to do the second part of our clamshell embellishments, and this time we're going to use the outside arc. This is our clamshell from the starter set. It's our sampler set, and what we have is 3 inches across and 1.5 inches down. As I mentioned before, every true clamshell is going to be twice as wide as it is tall. Now, we also make this ruler come with 4 clams. If you're doing a lot of clamshells, it's really helpful to have the longer ruler. One thing of note on this template, and actually it's on both of them, you probably could see it better here though, you have this vertical line right here, this horizontal line right here. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we line the vertical and horizontal lines up, because our needle is going to fall right here. So we're going to get nice, smooth, even clamshells with this ruler. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to use the 2 to start with, and then I'll switch over to the 4. Now, here are some of the ideas that we came up with in class on how we were going to embellish it. We've got a little heart right here. We've just got some nondescript shapes and some little berries on twigs, I guess you would call it. My favorite probably is these flowers right here. And I also really like this. It's kind of different. This is, again, kind of like a flag shape, I guess. And this shape right here was actually inspired by Dresden plates. And here we just have a little curly Q. Now, I've got these kind of small. As you can see, as I got more and more clamshells in, I was getting bolder and bolder with size. You know, some of the things I think worked out great. I'm not crazy about the pebbles. I'm not a pebble fan anyway. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start this, and I will go ahead and move you guys over to the machine and we'll get going. Okay, so what we've got here is we again have our 12-inch space, which of course is divisible by 3. We're going to get 4 sets of clams in here, or 4 clamshells in here in the 12 inches. I'm going to do what I did last time. I'm just going to go into the lower right-hand side. I'm going to put my needle down and draw my bobbin thread up, and actually did check to make sure I had both, enough of both, with, as of last time I kind of ran out of thread and I didn't want to do that again. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my hook in. I'm going to adjust you a little bit here. What I want you to note is that we have a starting line, just as I did on the smaller clams, and I've got my first horizontal line right directly over that starting line. And in reality, it would be a stitched line if it were an actual quilt. But because it's just a practice quilt, we use lines instead. It's much easier. So everything is lining up great. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take and make that first clam. It's really important with these larger ones to make sure that you actually hold down the clam itself, the shape, the half circle. It's easy to flip up if you don't. And again, remember, when we're doing circular shapes with straight stitches, we want to make sure that we just go a little shorter on that stitch length. And now you can see why it would have been so hard to get up to this point and try and make a design and get back right actually where we absolutely had to be to make the clamshells with the inside designs in them. So this is going to be an outside design, and it's going to be in the valley of the clamshell. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to move you up a little bit. I want you to see a little better. Okay, there we go. And there we go. I hope that's better. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I can, if I want, remove this clamshell. to do this embellishment. However, I tend not to, and I think what I'm going to do is turn you guys around. I'll be working upside down, but I think you will get a better view by doing it that way. Oh yeah, absolutely, much better. Okay, again, I'm lined up. So what I want to do on this one is going to just be very simple. And you know, if you want to take this away, use your straight ruler, you certainly can. Because I want to get kind of a straightish line up here, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. And the way I'm going to know that it's going to be straight is I'm lining this on my horizontal line. I'm just going to come up. Take that away. Make a small circle. A lot of stitches. And then I'm going to come back down. Remember, when you're traveling, it's best just to keep moving. Don't stop and take stitch at a time because it's not going to work as well. I'm okay with this being a little cattywampus there because this is really a very organic design that I'm trying to create here. So now I'm going to come up and actually I'm going to curve it a little bit to follow the curve of the clamshell and back down. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to come up with a curve. Make my little circle and come back down. Now when I get back down into the valley of the clamshell here, right on that line, I'm going to stop. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my clamshell ruler and I'm going to put it back, and you'll notice everything lines up perfectly, just exactly how we want it to. So now we're going to make our second clam. If we have to do any adjustments, which may happen later on, we're going to do it when we get to the very top. But right now, everything is lining up perfectly, so I don't need to do any adjusting. And back into the valley. Again, you can take it out. Or what else I like to do at times is, because of the design, I want to make sure that my design stays within this portion here, within the free portion. So if I were to come and leave my ruler in place and do a design here, I would not encroach on that portion that would be on the outside of the stitched line, because my template is here to stop me. But a lot of times what we want to do is take that template away to do a design. And in order to be sure we do not encroach upon that area, what I do, I just stitch it. And then I stitch back. And now I know exactly where my boundaries are. And with my spacing gauge, if I want to move this, I can easily get my way back again simply by using my spacing gauge. So this one, I think I'm just going to do a bit of a swirl. And the other thing I want you to notice is I'm keeping my machine at a very constant speed. I'm not slowing down and speeding up. I'm just keeping it very constant. Okay, and so now I'm going to travel back out. And is it going to be perfect? Heck no, it's not going to be perfect. And am I okay with that? Absolutely, I'm okay with that. I'm a human being, not a robot. So I make human mistakes, just like everybody else does. And now I'm going to come back into that valley. And it's going to be very easy because I did not move my template. So now I'm just going to come in and finish this clam. I want you to notice that I've always got my hands on that clamshell. I want to make sure that it doesn't pop up and get my foot underneath. So there we go, back in the valley. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to switch to my long one because I can. It is so much nicer having this long one. It just, you don't have to do as much jogging and, in position and stuff. So let's do one of those little Dresden plates. And for that one, we do want to put our section in on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the center and back down. And then I'm just going to get back to my valley. And that one isn't very big. Let's go ahead and echo that. We're going to do it a little larger. And we're going to come up in a point, and we're going to come back down. There we go. That's better. I like that much better. And off we go to finish our clamshell. And I'm going to have to adjust my hands. And you'll see I have 2 lines because I corrected my measurement. So I should be coming right on the outside line, and it is perfect. Okay, so to start the next one, again, we have to be at the top because we want our center, or our valley, to brush the top of the crest of the last one. So you can use a straight ruler if you like, or just wing it. And I think it's a good idea to just practice doing straight lines when you're doing this, because when you're free motioning, there's going to be times you want that straight line, and you may not have a ruler readily available. Okay, so now what I have done is I have lined up, I'm going to show you this. I have the center of my template lined up here perfectly, and I went just a little too far because I want to make sure that my horizontal lines are just grazing the top of the previous row of clamshells. So I need to come back, about 2 stitches. And I'm going to get some stuff out of the way here, and I'm going to get myself realigned, just making sure. And now here we go. We're going to make our half clam. In this particular row, we're still going to have 4 clamshells. They're just going to be in a little different orientation. I'm going to have 2 half clamshells and 3 full clamshells. Let's do a little flag in this one. And these are much larger, so we can do larger designs. And we don't even need to come all the way down. Okay, we're just going to come back here a little bit and come out this way. Make this one larger. There we go. And we are now back on our clam. I'm at the very top, so I'm going to make sure that everything is still lined up, which it is, and come back down to the valley. You'll see that I do move my hand positions a lot with the clamshells. So let's do some of those just shapes, I guess. Why don't we do heart? Now what I did before was I had the heart actually kind of peeking out from the clamshell and actually really liked it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my heart around, but not all the way around. So it looks like it's just peeking out. Isn't that cute? I love the look of that. Okay, again, I'm making sure I'm lined up, which I am perfectly. Okay, and this is another one I really, really liked. I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to do a curl. Just a little curl cue. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do another little curly cue. Remember, perfection is sometimes overrated. And down here, I'm going to do one more curly cue. And back into my belly. And we're going to go back up and around. Okay, just double checking my spacing. I'm spaced perfectly. And I'm going to come back down into the next clamp. Now, I do need to make a little bit of an adjustment because the ruler just touched the inside of the throat of my machine. So if you're using a smaller machine, you have to be aware of where your ruler is when you're using the longer rulers. Okay, and I lined up for another one, and let's just come up here because I don't want to run into this side with this next design. And this one I'm going to let take up an awful lot of space. A lot of stitching here because everything is so small. I'm going to just do a little leaf here. And then I'm going to come back in and back down. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and end that one there. I'll go ahead and cut my threads. And there we've got some more designs. Okay, really like the Dresden. I really think that's kind of cool. You know, this one I probably would or should have come out a little straighter here instead of off to the side so much. The peeking out heart I really, really love. The curly cue turned out, or the swirl turned out nicely, as did the little three, I don't know what, maybe 3 feathers it could be. I'm not really sure. And of course, our straight lines with the little berries on top. And this is just a little flower, and I could have gotten a little more involved with that, but I wasn't really quite sure of my spacing. So it gives us some ideas and some things to practice with. I would like you to come up with your own ideas, and I'd like you to post them for me. And we'll be back with more videos in the near future. So until then, let's quilt.